They have tried coups, they have plotted assassinations, yet Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traoré remains untouchable.
I'm not afraid.
In just a few years, he has faced more attempts on his life than any other African leader today. His enemies expected him to fall, like Thomas Sankara before him. Instead, Traoré has outmaneuvered generals, silenced gun runners, and locked foreign powers out of his army. This is why it has become extremely hard to kill him. Number 1. He has built a homegrown army.
De kung fu, configuration de statuette, technique de...
Traoré has made his army impenetrable by cutting foreign influence out of its ranks. The most critical factor in his survival is his deep, deliberate overhaul of the Burkinabe military training apparatus. His logic is piercingly clear. To avoid having moles that might end up turning against him in his army, he has completely abolished foreign military instructions.
Mr. President, you just said it. We're talking about the security and defense of Burkina Faso. Let's talk about your personal security. You just mentioned it a moment ago. The pressure is enormous. It's intense. The danger comes from everywhere. Mr. President, just in 2025, there have been several coup attempts that were foiled. Mr. President, do you ever feel afraid?
Thank you. I think that's the only strength I have. I'm not afraid. Because I trust all of you. That's the first thing. You have to trust the people, because it's the people who entrusted us with this mission. And I trust the people, that they will understand. And that's why we don't hesitate to stand before the people to explain the situation to them and tell them what's going on. And that helps maintain a very good relationship. That's the first thing. The second thing, as I said, is that there was a mindset that needed to be developed within our own forces. That's very important. Now, with this mindset, people understand why they're fighting. If you look back a few years, many officers on the ground, they know why they're fighting. But if we know why we're fighting, who we're up against, and why there's this pressure, people understand better. And that's why we immediately created the institute, the higher military school, so that we could train our own soldiers ourselves. And the masters, that's what we want in their minds. Remember one thing, if you let your forces be trained by other powers, they put into their heads whatever they want.
Gone are the days when the country's military was trained and, by his account, indoctrinated by French or other foreign powers. Traoré has forcefully insisted that security is an African affair, leading to the creation of a military school staffed purely by Burkinabe generals, including himself.
You are in the plane, inside the plane, and everything there is to do, as I was saying, until you get out of the plane. So it's them who instruct here, not an instructor.
He has personally trained some of the current officers, creating a deep, almost familial loyalty that makes external infiltration an almost impossible task.
They indoctrinate them however they want, and it's easier to manipulate them. Here in Burkina, that's actually what bothers a lot of imperialist powers. They can't infiltrate our army. All these fighters, all these men who are here, none of them were trained by outsiders. We are built on our own field experience, and we trained them ourselves. I personally took part in training some of the forces at the very beginning. So that's already a second strength. And the other strength is that if you have a mission, a goal for your country, you must not be afraid. If you are afraid, you hesitate. If you hesitate, you compromise. Once compromise sets in, you're done for.
This move is more than just a policy change. It is an ideological fortress built to prevent enemies from triggering a coup by simply buying off a new foreign-trained generals.
A moment ago, you listed a number of factors that make you feel reassured. I insist because history matters too. It's history that guides us. These imperialist forces, they are real. In 1961, they got rid of Patrice Lumumba in the DRC. In 1972, they got rid of Kwame Nkrumah in another way. And then in 1987, they got rid of Thomas Sankara, again with internal enemies and sometimes with the complicity of certain neighbors. You know what they always say, Mr. President, the very first and most crucial duty of a true revolutionary is to stay alive, to continue the vital fight. Mr. President, can you please reassure all these dedicated people, all these brave men and women gathered here and indeed elsewhere who are beginning to truly hope that you will absolutely stay alive and well?
They are always manipulating things from the inside. We are very well aware of that. And it is also our duty to take part in our own security. Today is not the day to say that I am escaping from the state. And there you have it. I entrusted security just last year. Everyone is involved. I myself am involved. That's why I said it's not just a matter for those who are by my side. It's a matter for the whole people. And security is not just a matter for people in uniform or whatever else you might imagine. It's a whole system. It's also about behaviors, ways of living. We need to avoid many things that perhaps our predecessors did in the past. We have read a lot about all those whom imperialism has destroyed, and we have learned many lessons. That's why we say we won't let things repeat themselves. We will anticipate, even if people interpret it however they want. We will anticipate.
And for good measure, Traoré didn't hesitate to take a brazen jab at the United States, issuing a crisp warning to figures like General Michael Langley to keep off African security matters. Now the message is blunt. Africa's security belongs to Africans. By walling off his military from external influence, Traoré has effectively erected a no trespassing barrier to Western involvement.
But because we have understood the message, the hope that exists, we will do everything to always anticipate the actions of imperialism.
Mr. President, from the perspective of the journalist that I am, I feel that there is an encirclement of the US countries. And when I look a bit at Côte d'Ivoire, there is a military camp in Odiene near Mali and Burkina. Senegal is setting up units at the border with Mali, not to mention Benin, which also borders Burkina and Niger. Is it, Mr. President, do you share this point of view? Do you see things this way?
I think that when you decide to make a revolution, you have to be prepared for this kind of adversity. It's logical that they surround us. It's logical that they try to bring us down. It's logical. As I said, it's a battle. They are fighting for their own interests, and it's up to us, if we've decided to make a revolution, to start everything anew so that this encirclement is defeated. You see, in Africa, we're used to not having a strong army to begin with. There is no state if there is no strong army. But, well, that was the system. As I said, once they were in power, they came to flatter us. No, you shouldn't arm yourselves. Even recently, I think there was an interview where an American general said it again, that our countries don't need to be militarized. That's their way of thinking. We are like children. They are the ones who have to come and sit down to provide security for us. And many countries are in this situation. They don't build armies, and when a crisis comes, it's chaos. We, on the other hand, are building a strong army. That's why I said it. We fight as Burkinabe and we train as Burkinabe. This is very important. What was it like before? Every time foreign forces, everyone would come to train your soldiers. They treated you as if you were inferior. Today, many foreign forces are seeking to come and train with us. You wouldn't believe it. The greatest powers are looking to come and train with our soldiers. But it's not just about training. They want to learn. How do we do it? What is our process? Who trains us? But today, no one knows how the BRs are formed, how we train them, how we equip them. Why is that? We think that others have to come and train us. They haven't created anything. They just thought about it. We have brains too. So we need a powerful army to face adversity. They will keep surrounding us because there will always be countries like that in Africa, heads of state like that who will allow it because they have mixed loyalties. They always betray. They will always agree to let the imperialists come to their countries to attack their own brothers. If you accept the revolution, you have to go with this concept. This will exist, so we are nothing anymore. We deal with it, but it's up to us to prepare ourselves so that the encirclement amounts to nothing, so that they can never achieve their goal. That's all.
Number 2. Sahel intelligence sharing. If his internal security is airtight, his external defense is an iron curtain of regional intelligence sharing.
Une force unifiée dont l'état-major est déjà opérationnel.
Since the formation of the Alliance of Sahel States, a defensive pact between Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso, These nations have been treated like geopolitical pariahs by many Western powers due to their fierce stance on African sovereignty. Now, this has naturally led to increased coup attempts and death threats. They have turned their shared isolation into a shared shield. Their coordinated intelligence feeding has allowed them to quash threats before they even strike. A perfect example of this coordination came on September 30th this year, when these three nations' intelligence agencies launched a coordinated operation to expose alleged Nigerian sponsors of insecurity in the Sahel. They exposed a web of alleged Nigerian sponsors fueling insecurity in the Sahel, complete with a list of implicated officials and a haul of arrested gun runners. These weren't small-time hustlers. Reports suggest they were funneling weapons to jihadists, Boko Haram affiliates, and bandit networks across the Nigeria-Niger border. As one official noted, the IS agencies have arrested gun runners crossing into Nigeria who have links to these kingpins. The scale of their arms transactions is alarming. By pooling their intel and launching cross-border operations, these nations have become a nightmare for their enemies. Coup plots collapse before they gain traction. Assassination attempts are dismantled in silence. In the Sahel today, an attack on one state is treated as an attack on all. Traoré remains at the center of this pact, shielded by an alliance that refuses to give his enemies room to breathe.